Hello and what is up guys, Ra here and welcome back to some more automation and of course BeamNG.Drive. Today we are going to be building the greatest touring car ever. It's going to be a car to compete against the likes of the Mercedes-Benz 190e Evo II, as well as the Audi V8 Quattro, the Alfa Romeo 155 V6, the BMW M3, etc, etc. So this touring car is going to be a road car that would fit into a DTM race series. It translates to Deutschen Tourenwagen Meisterschaft, which I probably butchered that pronunciation, but that's totally okay. That's besides the point. So we're making a touring car. It's going to be a race car, but it's going to be a road version, a road-going race car. The previous video I made was a NASCAR. It was actually a straight-up race car. This is going to be a road version, a homologation special vehicle. So this is going to be a similar car to my other French vehicles from the Lucent brand. It's going to be a rear-engine car. Lucent likes to make rear-engine cars with crazy engine configurations. I made a rear-engine front-wheel drive car from Lucent. I made another crazy luxury car. I made some other cars from this brand in the past. So we're going to go ahead and make this car the greatest DTM car, road car of all time. First things first, the year is 1990, so we're going to have 1990s technology. So it's going to be a second generation of my S6 luxury sedan, which is sort of a competitor to the BMW 3 Series and the BMW 5 Series. So first things first, it's going to be partial aluminum for the body panels, monocoque chassis type, steel chassis material. We can go for galvanized or corrosion resistant, but they don't affect anything. They do nothing in the game, so it's fine. It's going to be a rear-mounted longitudinal engine, which is pretty crazy. So for suspension type, it's going to be pretty fancy, but pretty normal too. It's going to be double wishbone front, double wishbone rear, so quite fancy. But then again, this is the homologation special. We're going to go for the new engine. So the previous generation S6 had a flat 6, and this generation is going to have a flat 6. It's going to be a iteration of the current engine. So a flat 6, all aluminum, 4 valve per cylinder. It's going to be, I think the previous one is about 3.5 liters, so we'll do about 3.5 liters again. Since this is a DTM car, we need to go a bit smaller. This is going to be a 2.5 liter version. This is going to be the high performance 2.5 liter twin turbo engine. Or it can be N8 actually. It can be an NA. It can be an NA DTM car. Okay. So it's going to be an NA flat 6 2.5 liter. This is the DTM homologation special. Although there might be a high performance turbo engine in the lineup, we're going to have a homologation one as well. So it's going to be VVT intake. We're going to go for a pretty high cam profile. This engine's got a rev quite high. No turbos, but multi-point EFI with premium fuel. It's a luxury car after all. And we're going to give it a cat and one baffled muffler, then a straight through muffler, I feel like. So 8,000 RPM seems pretty reasonable. The Conrads actually, they're a little stressed. Pistons are a little stressed out, but that's okay. So 224 horsepower, 175 pound-feet of torque, so it's kind of low on torque. But this thing isn't going to be a crazy fast car. It's a handling car. It's not really an all-out speed car. There should be all-wheel drive. Does Lucent have a history of all-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive? But the all-wheel drive was technically front-wheel drive, so maybe we'll make this thing a all-wheel drive with like a slight rear bias. Top speed, 270 kilometers an hour, which is absolutely insane. We're going to give it sports compound tires, quite large, 265s in the front, 245s in the rear. Like maybe a little wider. So alloy wheels, vented 4 pistons, quite large, and let's go 2 pistons in the rear. A fully clad under tray, and it's going to be a 4-seater. This is still a homologation special. It's going to be a street car, but it's still going to have 4 seats. It's going to have maybe like a basic cassette player, but a sport interior. We're going to give it a hydraulic power steering, ABS, no traction control though. And let's give it like okay safety. And do we want fancy suspension? You know what? Let's give it a hydropneumatic suspension because it's the French. And you know what? The French like to complicate things. So hydropneumatic suspension. Actually, this thing is not bad. Okay, so initial stats. It weighs 2,650 pounds. It gets 18 mpg. And it gets 6 seconds to 100. All these things are actually super reasonable. What if we went rear-wheel drive? It'd be faster. It would be faster. I kind of want to do all-wheel drive, not because it's faster, but it's kind of like the lore of this brand. This brand has some lore. So I don't think this car is going to be beautiful. But the point of this car is it's not going to be it's supposed to be a beautiful car. This car is not going to be a gorgeous looking car. It's going to be a car that is also a race car. So I think the basics are done. All right, $43,000, 20 mpg. Overall, not bad. I think what we're going to do is design this car now in a time lapse. I'm going to design this car to make it look like a road version of a race car. So it's going to be a homologation race car. I probably will tweak the engine maybe a little bit, and I might tweak the suspension so it doesn't actually oversteer terminally, because it currently does. So I'll design the car, we'll go over it, and we'll hop into BeamNG.Drive and drive the absolute crap out of this car. So sit back, relax, guys, and of course, I hope you enjoy. So we're starting the design for my DTM French homologation car. The front end, what I'm doing is shaping out with reverse dog tape and other stuff to sort of cut out the headlights. We're going to have these sort of quad headlamps in the front. It's going to have these sort of half pop-up headlamps as well, similar to my previous Lesson vehicles. We're going to have this sort of fog light, similar again to my previous Lesson SX. A big open intake down below with a massive front splitter that has a sort of a black painted finish to the middle of it. Sort of just trimming some things with black. Now on the side of the car, I am adding a wide body to this car. Just a slight wide body. I want this car to be slightly wider than stock. Going back to the front end, adding the sort of the front badge. Adding some detail to the hood there, which I'd later change on. Going to the side again, I'm just trying to figure out what I really want to do for the side. And I sort of skip it and go to the back and add a wing. Then I sort of keep going on the car itself, adding a sort of fender skirt, which is really uncommon for a lot of cars in general, but in the French cars, some French cars had it, some American cars had it, and I think it looks pretty cool, adding some more details to the car itself. And now on the back end, adding the signature sort of quad taillights in the back, these split taillights in the back. We're going to have top and bottom split. I am unsure if I want to have it curved. I actually do change it later on after the video is even done, but for now they're sort of curved with some sort of, we got turn signals, we got daytime running lights, we got everything sort of in the back taillight housing, adding a rear lip, adding some cutouts for the exhaust, adding a little more detail on the side now, basically making it look a little more similar to the Mercedes-Benz Evo, the 190e Evo. Which looks pretty darn cool, so I add similar functions to that. Adding some writing on the front slitter, the Turismo scripture. This is the Turismo trim. Adding some back detailing, some side detailing, and basically going around the car, just adding the detail overall. Adding some door handles that are simplistic that are there. Completely changing up the wipers on the front, adding a turn signal. And now we're going to sort of tweak the front end itself a little bit more, changing the lights just a little bit so they look a little bit more realistic. And now onto the side again, changing the fender skirt again, changing the door handles, adding a little bit of a gill, completely rechanging the hood, changing the wing to something a lot more subtle, adding a bit more details to the side of the car, changing the paint, and finishing off with the taillight design, basically just tweaking that and tweaking a few other things for the car after the taillights. So just tweaking the taillights still. And in front of us is the all-new 1990 Lesson SX Turismo. So like I said, guys, this is the 1990 Lesson SX Turismo. This is the high-performance DTM version of the Lesson SX vehicle, which is my compact sport sedan. The vehicle weighs 2,600 pounds, which is quite light. This car, size-wise, is pretty much in line with a BMW 3 Series. It's basically a BMW M3 competitor, which would race in DTM, because the BMW M3 did race in DTM, so this is going to be a competitor to that. So it's got the Turismo scripture in front. Turismo is the high-performance version for Lesson. It's the sort of race kind of trim for the car. Sure, it's a race trim. We got the SX badge back there. It's very simple in the back, and we got this big dual exhaust. The very, very unique trademark design from Lucent, which is the split taillights. The taillights are split top and bottom, which they look the exact same, basically. I think one's actually smaller, but that's okay. It's fine. We've got these big quad headlamps similar to my previous Lesson vehicles, and they're actually pop-up headlamps similar to all my previous Lesson vehicles. We have this sort of badge in the middle. That's the Lesson crest. We have the front massive intakes in the front with these fog lamps down there as well. So overall, I think this car looks super, super cool. It's definitely very 90s. It's definitely very quirky. This thing costs about $40,000, which might be a little high for a car like this, but this is the race version. This is a homologation special. So I think it's totally fine. It gets 16 mpg, which isn't really great, and before the time-lapse of the design, it actually had about 19 mpg, so it's gone down 250 horsepower, 179 pound-feet of torque. It's not bad overall. Magnesium wheels, which is pretty cool. We got 245s front and rear squared, because this thing is all-wheel drive. So what we're going to do is hop into BeamNG.Drive. I want to see how fast this thing is on the drag strip. I want to see the 0 to 60 test. I want to see a quarter-mile drag test. But I also want to see a track test to see how good this car is on an actual racetrack. So I'll see you guys in BeamNG.Drive in just a sec. Finally, we are in BeamNG.Drive with the Lesson SX, which is awesome looking. This thing looks so gosh darn cool in BeamNG. I don't know if I like the color, But I just made it blue because I wanted to be blue for this one. Just because. I did actually tweak one thing before we hopped into BeamNG. I added the French flags. How could I forget the French flags? Every Lesson car has to have multiple French flags everywhere because that's what you do. That's what it's got to have. It's got to have your French flags. Look at that. I think that looks really cool, actually. I just love the profile of this car. Absolutely menacing for 1990s. We're doing a drag strip. It's going to be a quarter mile as well as 0 to 60 test to see how it does. This thing has 250 horsepower, 180 torque, so it's not tons. But it is rear engine, so it's going to be better for launching and hopefully better for the 0 to 60. So let's launch it here. 8,500 RPM. Car sounds quite good. Now, we did bang off the rev limiter, but we still got 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 4.8 seconds, which is scary fast for the time. At almost a sub 13 quarter mile. Definitely faster in a straight line than a BMW M3 or even a BMW M5 for that matter, or even literally any car basically in the 90s, any sedan basically in the 90s that was a rear-wheel drive. I don't know, I mean, they might be a little thin, but like from the side like this, that looks pretty cool. They're just there for some extra sort of aerodynamic goodness, basically. But not bad, honestly. So next up, we're going to do a track test to see how good the S6 does on the track. I'm thinking we're going to do a handling-based circuit because this thing is a DTM car, which is a lot of twisty turns. It's not really a crazy high-speed race. So we'll do a race and see how it does. Alright, we're in BeamNG.Drive with the Lesson S6. Which, again, looks very good in BeamNG here. We are in, this is the West Coast USA. I think it's the Street Course 2, I believe is what it is. Man, that Turismo in front looks a little bit jank, but I swear everything's lined up properly. I think the front splitter is just a little bit off, but that's okay. So we are here. We're going to do a track test. We're going to go to first person for this one. Oh, that hood ornament just does not look centered, even though I swear it is. So 5.4 while turning on not a prep surface, which is pretty great for 0 to 60 still. We're not cutting the corner here. We're not cutting the corner. That's cheating. It still has plenty of go. Those +5 tires are really doing great. Really doing great. Gonna brake a little bit here. I don't want to get air if we can help it. We got air. We got air. That's fine. That's okay. Whoa! Oh, that was scary. Somehow we survived that. Somehow. Nope. Ah! No, we didn't survive that. That was close to my record time. Gosh darn it. Attempt number 2 in the Lesson S6 Turismo. Let's do it again. Let's try this again. So, I have to remember that this car is rear engine. So, the back end will spin around and kill you if you're not paying attention. We're going to brake here a little bit. Woo! Kind of messed up that shift. A good time. Is it the best time? And I've had a lot of times in this track. It's my best time by 1 second. Beating out this car from March. Can I actually go like change configuration? Can we actually like click this car? We can't because we don't have it. Okay, that's okay. But we beat my best time ever. First try or second try, I guess, with this car, which is quite good. It's quite good. Honestly, this car is an absolute gem to drive. And again, I'll leave a download link below if you guys want to download it. Lastly, I think we'll hop into the jump arena, see how this thing jumps, and get my final thoughts on the car. Lastly, of course, as is tradition, the jump. I want to see how far this car jumps. I'm going to guess it's going to go 450. That's my guess. 450 meters is my jump, which is quite far, but I believe the Turismo can do it. But overall thoughts about this car, it drives very, very well. It looks super cool. It's honestly probably my favorite car ever design-wise, because it's just so quirky. I always love designing these Lesson cars, because they're just so quirky and weird, and I love them. So, jump in the car. 4th gear. Oh, it's a little sketchy, though. Not enough downforce, definitely. On the front, at least. 270 kilometers an hour, not bad. Ooh, not quite 450 I was hoping. 350 around. 340. Oh, wow, that sign's a solid object. Jesus, I didn't even know that. But the car is not in drivable shape. I think it's pretty rare that I have a car that actually doesn't run. Doesn't drive. It runs. It runs. Still works. Not well, but it still works. This was the Leçon Essex Turismo. Make sure to join my Discord, link in the description. The new automation update is coming in the next few weeks, which is going to be absolutely insane. I'm going to do tons and tons and tons and tons of videos of the new update, so stay tuned for that. There's probably going to be like a video every day for a while, to be honest. I'm also starting to work a full-time job again, so that'll be tons of fun managing both YouTube and my job. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, I will see you guys next time.